Hi everyone, this is Chef Steve with Steve Cooks Stuff, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of my show. Today I'm going to be making a couple of delicious dishes for you. I make them often, one of them very often, probably once a week at my home with different variations. That would be my mac and cheese. I'm going to show you kind of this variation. As always, I like to show the fundamentals of cooking certain recipes, and then you can build your flavors from there. But I'm going to be making something delicious using some of my leftover pulled pork from a recipe I did a couple days ago. The second recipe I'm going to show you is a blistered tomato salad that has some balsamic vinegar, powdered sugar, and some olives, and we'll chill that, and at the end of the show we'll plate it all up together, show you a couple delicious dishes. Got everything set up here for my mac and cheese, so I'm going to go ahead and start out by dropping in 2 tablespoons of butter and a splash of olive oil. See, my pan's already simmering. I've got it nice and warm here. So as soon as that gets going, first thing I want to do is drop in some of these minced onions. Maybe, I don't know, oh, little glob fell in there. I was going to say 2 tablespoons, now we're at 3 tablespoons. And we'll just start browning those, stirring those around. We got a nice heat going here already. As soon as that gets going, now I'm going to come in with maybe a tablespoon of fresh chopped garlic. As soon as that hits the pan, as always, the garlic smell just comes right up my nose, which I love. It smells so good. All I want to do is just start to brown this a little bit. The onions are, because they're chopped so fine, they're already starting to turn slightly translucent, as is the garlic, starting to get a little bit soft. But this whole thing comes together really fast, as you'll see. So I've already got, just within this first minute here, I've already got what I'm looking for out of these onions and garlic. So the next thing I want to do is take 1/3 of a cup of flour and just dump that right in there with those onions and garlic and start to stir it in. Now what I'm looking to do here is very quickly, I'm going to start building a roux. So I want this flour to get kind of coated around my onions and garlic, just like so. You can hear it stop simmering. And I'm going to just immediately start with layering in some milk. The milk is going to combine with that flour, and it's going to start to thicken so that we have our roux, which is our base for our mac and cheese. I'm going to crank this heat up a little bit. And what we're going to end up using is about 2 cups of milk to that 1/3 of a cup of flour that we started with. It's already starting to stick to my spoon, which I like. So now I'm going to switch over to my whisk. And I'm just going to keep blending in that milk, just pouring it in slowly. It almost starts to thicken immediately, with that flour being in there the way it was. I'm almost all the way through my 2 cups of milk here. All right, good. Now at this stage, while this is starting to thicken, I'm going to go ahead and add some mushrooms. These are just, chopped mushrooms. This is all just by eyesight, really. I like to get them all cut, and then I know at the end I'm going to have a full pan of vegetables, meat, and noodles, so I don't want to overcrowd it now and run out of space, especially for this pulled pork I'm getting ready to put in here. So it's getting nice and thick. I'm going to go ahead and pour in a little more milk. It's starting to bubble, starting to thicken, looking exactly the way I want it to. These mushrooms will start to cook down as well. And as they start to cook down, they'll provide more space for the rest of what we got to bring in here. All right. You always want to check the edges, because if you don't scrape the edges, you'll just get these little solid chunks of floury stuff there. You want your roux to be nice and thick and not lumpy. All right, putting in the rest of the milk. It's looking really good. The heat's coming up. It smells delicious, nice and garlicky. And now what I'm going to do is add, this is some diced chipotle peppers. I like getting them this way, you know, so that they're just already ready to go. I can just spoon them in. I'm gonna put about 2 teaspoons of the diced chipotle peppers in there. Keep stirring. All right, this is really starting to get thick. Oh, I can smell that. I can smell those chipotles right there. I love standing over cooking food and putting things in and immediately just right up your nose. Smell gives you good insight to what's going to be coming out later when this thing comes out of the oven. All right, this is getting nice and thick, so now it's time to start layering in some cheese. Now I've got some shredded Gruyere, I've got some cheddar, I've got some Jack, I've got some Monterey Jack, about 4 different cheeses in here that we'll start to stir in here, melt amongst, you know, this roux we've got with our mushrooms. You can see here when if I lift the whisk up, it's already getting nice and mac and cheese gooey like, which is what we are looking for. All right, now it's time for, this is a pulled pork that I made a couple days ago. You know, usually when you do pulled pork, it's 2, 3, 4 pounds. So unless you're cooking that for a big party or something, you tend to have leftovers. And I love just setting some aside. I would say every time I do pulled pork within a day or two, I'm making mac and cheese, because this to me is just one of my favorite ways to utilize the pulled pork. So this one has blackberries, pulled pork, and it was also had the chipotle, the same chipotle peppers that I just put in there a minute ago. So this is going to be just a nice smoky, little heat, and sweet from the blackberries in this mac and cheese. Okay, I'm going to get all this stirred around. It's looking really good. Now it's time to start layering in our noodles. So I went with the large elbows for this recipe today. I like to mix it up. I cooked them so they're al dente, which means they're still kind of firm, because they're going to continue to cook, of course, when they're in the oven. This is going to go in the oven for about 20 minutes. So you want to start by just putting some in and just kind of folding from the bottom, getting those noodles mixed in like so. Get a few more. Okay, how are we looking? How are we looking? Oh man, it's thick, gooey, cheesy goodness if I look at it, if I do say so myself. I think we're almost there. I don't like to have my mac and cheese to where it's just, you know, all noodles with some stuff. I like to have it so that each bite you get a little bit of everything. So I like to have it maybe 30% of the other ingredients and the other bit the noodles themselves. So this is looking really good to me. I'm going to go ahead and kind of spread these down. I can see some of the blackberries in there. I see the pulled pork. When I look around, I see a little bit of everything in there. So I'm going to call this good. I'm putting it on there. So the last thing I want to do is a little bit more cheese across the top, because you can't have enough cheese on your mac and cheese. Just like that. Okay, what I'm going to do is cover this with foil. I'm going to put it in the oven for about 20 minutes, covered. Then I'm going to remove the foil, let it brown for about another 5. And I'll be right back to show you this blistered salad. All right, we're back. I've got my mac and cheese going off in the oven over there. We'll be back to that in a little bit. I got reset here. I'm going to show you how to make this blistered tomato salad. It's really fast, but packed full of flavor and delicious. Always a crowd pleaser. What you want to do is just have I like to use a cast iron pan, any type of pan, really hot. I mean, I can see some heat coming off and I can feel it from here. You want this pan super hot and dry. There's nothing in there, just a bone dry hot pan. And I've got these cherry tomatoes. I'm just going to put them in. You can hear them starting to simmer already in this pan. And what I'm looking to do is start to get some char marks on them. So you want to just kind of put them in there, let them sit for a few seconds. You'll see in a couple seconds, as soon as I turn them, they'll already start to blister a little bit. Just give them a couple seconds. Then I'm going to start adding some of these other ingredients. This particular recipe is going to have these purple onions, some spinach, and then a couple other goodies that we'll put in there at the very end. See, right as I'm turning, I'm already starting to see little blister marks on here, which is perfect, exactly what I want. So as soon as I start to see those, the next thing I want to put in is some of this purple onion. And just, you know, it's just kind of a mixed cut, if you will. Start to get those cooking a little bit. Keep turning. You don't want these tomatoes to sit for too long. I like to stir them and then let them sit. Stir and let them sit. All right. This is looking good. Next in, some fresh spinach right in there on top, just like that. You might think, I know I thought the first time I made this recipe, my reaction is always to start throwing in butter and olive oil and all this kind of stuff. You don't want to do that with this, but what you do want to do next, as soon as this is to this point, we got some nice char marks going, is balsamic vinegar. I'm going to take some balsamic, I'm going to put maybe 2 tablespoons right in there like that, and then immediately I come in with powdered sugar. This powdered sugar goes right on top of everything. You can see it's kind of covering. Oh man, I don't know if you've ever had balsamic vinegar come right up out of the steam like that, but man, it's pungent, but it's delicious smelling, and it's obviously delicious tasting. The powdered sugar mixed with the balsamic vinegar, it's going to start to give us a little caramelization here. I can't see any more of the powdered sugar, so that tells me I'm done, just like that. So now what I want to do is come out of here, pick up my pan, right into the bowl. Just scoop everything in there like that. Oh man, look at that. Got some little bit of wilted spinach in there, the onions, the tomatoes, just like that. Lastly, before we go to the fridge, we've got some Kalamata olives. It's one of my favorite olives. I use it a lot. Sprinkle those in there like that. Some fresh basil. And lastly, a little bit of feta cheese. I like to put it in there while it's hot. It won't melt all the way down because it's, you know, bigger clumps, but it'll just get a little soft in there as this cools. Give it a quick stir. I'm going to the fridge with this. I'll be right back with the mac and cheese and this out of the fridge. Okay, welcome back. We are ready to look at what we've done today. So with my mac and cheese, I had it covered with foil, as you saw going in. At 20 minutes, I slid it out. I covered it with some breadcrumbs, just lightly dusted across, back in the oven uncovered for about another 8 minutes or so until they got nice and golden brown, have a little crunch on them too. So this is done, this is ready to go. I'm gonna see how we're looking. I never know if I want to go in with a spatula or just a big old spoon, but I'm going to try it with a spatula. Lean over there. Up and in. Look at that. Oh yeah. I'm going to put a little more. Oh, there's some blackberries. Can't leave those behind. Right there. Oh, look at that. Cheesy. It smells amazing. I can see the blackberries in there. The pulled pork, all the different cheeses. The smell is just amazing, amazing. I'm gonna put a second one together real quick. There we go. Yeah, it's all meant to just be mixed around anyway, so just get in there and give it a good scoop like that. There you go. So you got some of the breadcrumbs on top, all that kind of stuff. Now what I like to do is come in with some green onions, just kind of give it a little extra fresh kick on top. So I'll just sprinkle some green onions on there, and then just some fresh herbs. This is flat leaf parsley, little thyme. I like just mixing them all together, just putting it on there. So that's it. That's the Chipotle pulled pork mac and cheese. Next up, we've got our salad. I pulled this out of the fridge. It's completely cooled down. I like to give it a little stir. This is our blistered tomato salad with spinach and Kalamata olives. You can see the tomatoes are still intact, but each one's a little different. I can see one that's kind of, you know, more cooked. That's okay. Look at that, just like that. Now we're going to come in with a little bit of cold feta, because the other ones kind of got mixed in with the balsamic, of course. And then just a little bit more of the basil as well, because that got kind of heated up and wilted when it went in there hot. But that's it. This is it. These are the dishes. Today, we have our Blackberry Chipotle Pulled Pork Mac and Cheese and our blistered tomato salad with Kalamata olives and all the good stuff that went in there, you know, Kalamata olives, spinach, onions, etc. These are both two very delicious dishes. I'm happy to share them with you today. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. I hope that you're inspired to try them out yourself. You know, give it a try. Cooking's meant to be fun. Take these fundamentals, mix up your own flavors, enjoy food, let people enjoy your food, and just have a good time with it. These recipes and more can always be found at my website, which is stevecooksstuff.com, and there's a cookbook in the works, so stay tuned for that. That'll be available on the website as well as soon as it's ready. So until next time, we'll see you. I'm gonna dive into this mac and cheese. Oh, that's so good.